Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of the Fitness Faculty podcast. My name is Coach Chappie, and with me, of course, is my co host.
Hello, everyone. This is Wisdom Valias here for episode 2
Yes.
of the
Okay.
Fitness Faculty. So, yun. Thank you.
Una-una, thank you very much to the subscribers to our YouTube channel. Lapit na tayong mag 100 mark. I think by the release of this episode, naka 100 na tayo. And thank you for those who
Yes.
followed us on Facebook and also on Instagram. We'll put a lot more content there. Si Coach Wisdom. Sir Wisdom nga may linagay na content yesterday. So, ayun. Basta dalas
Yes,
yun.
short clips. We'll be posting short clips lang para sa mga low attention span. So, thank you. Thank you to our 100,000 subscribers and
Yun.
almost 600,000 views.
So complimentary naman. So meron tayo long format, meron tayo short format. First of all,
Yes.
admin lang, it's actually September 2, 4:25 p.m. We're recording at that time. This is not going on live, so just wanted to make sure you guys know if we discuss anything na biglang in the next few days na may bagong development, pasensya na. Okay? Kamusta ka, Sir Wisdom? How was the past week? First week of class, di ba?
Yep. Yeah, first week of classes. So, new set of students, new sets of minds to be mind blown. So, okay naman. uh, adjusting to the commute ulit going to school.
Yeah, and then
Ikaw, kamusta? Mga training. May mga training na ulit.
okay naman. Just came from Boracay.
Yes.
Celebrated my birthday, 39th birthday nung pag-release natin ng episode. So my wife and I went on what is called a junk trip. Ngayon ko lang tutunan yun. So junk trip stands for just us, no kids. Pala yun. Yung mga,
Ayos ah. So parang
ano mga ganun pala. So we had a solo trip. Boracay is nice during this time of year. Not a lot of people. And the weather cooperated. But yeah.
yes.
So
Yeah, belated happy birthday nga pala. No?
thank you.
So
Thank you.
yan.
Ayan,
Good job.
so
Alam mo ba sa ancient times or sa medieval times? Old, ano ka na yan? Elderly ka na when you
actually,
reach
yeah.
your late 30s.
Oo. I think one of the things we can discuss in the future is a lot of things are going towards longevity.
Yep.
I'm sure you guys saw a recent study published by the American Heart Association. We won't talk about
Mhm.
that today, but we did see that and yung prescription of exercise and the amount of hours na ngayon they're actually pushing 150 to 600 total hours a week if you want to maximize, of course, longevity. I did the math.
Ay,
It's
yeah.
about
Ay,
100.
nako. Anyway, ibang episode, but I had a lot of things to say about that. Sabi na, ang hirap naman. Well, if you factor in daily physical activities now, not just exercise, kayang-kaya. But
Yeah.
if you live a sedentary lifestyle, tapos dun mo lang iaasa yung 150 hours mo, then iba talaga. So the attitude should be towards being more physically active overall, not just being more active in exercise. But yes, yeah, talking about the trends. Now the trend is towards at least in the late 2020s, it's more on exercise for longevity, quality of life. And at least in exercise, the trends are longevity, quality of life, and technology, incorporating technology to exercise. So mga smartwatch,
Oh.
velocity-based training. Yeah. So I can give a whole 1 hour lecture of how we
Mm.
started, like
Mm.
Thomas DeLorme, the birth of the progressive resistance, to
Yeah.
the way back as Eugene Sando na physique culture, early movement culture, early strength culture, later on becoming mainstream sa Hollywood and so on. But yep, the recent trend is exercise for healthy aging and technology. So I think it's a big market and a wild west market as well in technology and exercise.
Should be interesting. Wearable technology. So I myself use
Mhm.
an Apple Watch. Again, it's a commercial grade naman, hindi siya research grade. Pero I value the values that I get from my Apple Watch. And I'm sure marami pa iba-ibang mga brands there out. We'll have an episode on wearable kasi we need to actually have I think, an expert on that. So if
Mhm.
anybody wants
Yep.
to suggest somebody who's in the field of developing wearable technology. I know our friend Jeff Pagaduan is into
Yeah.
analytics and everything else, pero I don't think he's developed wearable technology yet. I'm not sure, pero parang hindi pa, no?
Not yet. Just research on using technology to monitor, for example, heart rate variability.
Mm.
Yeah. And then, of course, technology in terms of training progression. So movement velocity, I makes things more complicated.
But
But yeah,
it
for the
informs
better, for the
you.
better, but let's see. Not sure.
Yeah, sometimes too much information can also paralyze you with the choice so that you have to make. So yeah, interesting. A lot of things we can discuss, but today we chose this particular topic because this is something that I guess has been brewing or have been discussed in the past. Um,
Ah, so we'll talk about whey protein powders.
I was waiting
Ay,
for
hindi pala, hindi pa.
I was
Ay, okay,
waiting
iba
for the
pala.
time.
What are we talking about? Ano ba? Nakahanda na yung mga sasabihin ko eh.
Something as equally controversial as
All
that.
right.
So let's talk about the term that we're going to use is regulation. So regulation, although maraming synonyms to regulation, pero basically, kasi when you hear the term regulation, you think control or getting
Mm-hmm.
control of a certain person or a certain, I guess, entity or whatever.
Yep.
So we're gonna talk about regulating and if it is possible or even advisable to regulate the fitness coaches in the Philippines, first and foremost. And then secondly, the strength and conditioning specialists as well, I guess. I think we have to differentiate between the two. Although meron rin silang, di ba, flow sila into each other's realms. Like some fitness coaches do strength and conditioning work on the side and vice versa. So is it even possible to regulate?
Oh,
Uh,
so medyo caught off guard ako dun ah. That's a very, very hot topic. And if I remember our discussions with the great Hercules Calianta, a name it's very fitting. No? We've already talked. We have already discussed when I was his student in undergrad
mm.
20 years ago. He has already talked about the need for regulating the industry, the fitness industry, and here we are, 20 years later, still talking about it, and this time with his son. So
uh,
I guess
the,
you know where this is going. Now that so far we haven't really answered or addressed that issue. So very interesting. Yeah.
So it is an issue. It has been an issue because there's no governing body when it comes to, I guess, I don't want to say certifying but that's the term, I guess, or parang accrediting, yun na lang, accrediting fitness coaches and strength and conditioning coaches locally in the Philippines. Now, if you go abroad, like let's say Australia or America or Europe, meron. Although iba-iba yung mga models nila.
Yep.
So I guess we can start with that. Uh, ano yung current state ng fitness industry in terms of coaching, first personal trainers, sports coaches? Ano yung current state natin sa Pilipinas? I think you mentioned it already, pero I guess we can elaborate on that.
Yeah. So when we talk about regulating, we are talking about having guidelines and policies in
Yes.
place to practice a certain field or a certain profession. So when we say regulate the fitness industry, then we are going to put in place policies and regulations whereby all fitness professionals should abide by, at least in
Uh,
this country.
yes.
So ang response ko is to bring the question back to you, ano?
Mm,
Should we even have to regulate it? I mean, as someone who is more involved in the fitness
yeah.
industry,
Yeah.
ano
So
sa tingin mo?
that's fair because I've been involved in the fitness industry since my gym was we built the gym 360 in 2010. So back then, like what Wisdom said, even way before that, wala pa rin talagang qualifications. Of course, up until now, institutions are free to have their own qualifications. So kami, as 360 back then, we developed our own qualifications or standards when it comes to coaching. That standard or that qualification, if you might, qualification, but that standard has evolved through time. When I started out as a 25-year-old na entrepreneur back then, very, I would say, tawag din, idealistic na parang it has to be, the quality has to be parang you have to be a graduate of a certain course, a certain degree. Back then, it was either sports science or phys ed. And if hindi ka graduate ng dalawang yun, automatically, we were not entertaining those people. Now, again, those were our standards back then. And I believe it built a level of credibility sa 360 na parang the best coaches, and these guys actually right now, they have their own, practices, businesses all around the Philippines. Talagang we had the best coaches. I can honestly say, actually, na we had the best coaches during that time. People can argue with that, but I think I can speak about that pretty confidently. So, walang regulation. Now, of course, the other big gyms like Fitness First, Gold's Gym, they would have their own academies. So academies meaning they would have a curriculum, and then the coaches would have to pass this curriculum so that they can be called a personal trainer. And I'm sure there are leveling gitos pa with that I'm not privy to. But meron mga leveling and meron mga ganon na qualifications. So as a nation, wala. Wala talaga tayong qualifications. The question goes back then again to, is it necessary? So I guess to answer the question, we have to look at why would it make sense and why wouldn't it make sense to actually regulate? What's your insight on that?
Yeah. Well, let's just look at, before I answer that one, let's look at the current situation. There is some auto regulation that's happening, or internal regulation that's happening, at least within the big fitness franchises or fitness entities in the country, whereby they put intense preference for graduates of sports science
Yes.
and phys ed and physical therapy graduates before they even get the chance to apply into their facility. So that's one way wherein there is some regulation happening, at least in the big chains. All right. Now I'll go straight to it. The biggest problem with our fitness industry, or at least in the industry of fitness professionals, is that there is no barrier to entry. Right? There is no barrier to entry. Anyone who would like to be a coach or a trainer can just call themselves a coach or trainer and try to train people. But
Okay.
there is no barrier to entry.
Yeah.
Because there's no regulation. Parang chef, there's no real indication to certify some, or indication to say na, oh, this person is a chef, this person is a cook. Diba? Same thing with fitness professionals. As long as you have at least one client, then you're a trainer. So there are no barriers to entry, which means anyone, regardless of their qualifications, their knowledge, their background, can become a personal trainer.
Okay.
And I think in the fitness industry, there are three core qualities that you need to have. That is just my opinion, which is one, educational background.
Okay.
Number two is the relevant certifications. It depends on which line of the fitness industry you want to get into. And number three, of course, is your coaching skills, the art of coaching, which is what Daniel Buberis of Australia is talked about. Because training or coaching is both an art and a science. By the way, if you want to look him up, very, very inspiring story. There's a reason why he has R6. Anyway, you look up Daniel Buberis, very inspiring story. So, educational background, because there's no 1 hour lecture podcast that can replace 4 years of studying.
Yeah.
Even though you forget 80% of it, that means you retain 1 year's worth of lectures or classes. Relevant certifications, because if you're someone who really got into kettlebells, then there are kettlebell training certifications. If you're someone who wants to get into high performance training, then you go into the CSCS, diba? NSCA, CSCS. If you're more into the general population, then you go into the CPT or the ACE, diba? You can also go into the ASCA, which can go both ways, right? And then of course, so there's even CrossFit certifications,
Yes.
TR certifications, because there are very many different branches. And the art of coaching, because you can have, I'm sure you know a lot of people that have the background, have the vast depth of knowledge about exercise physiology, but they just don't have the skills to coach someone.
Yes.
No? Kumbaga, hindi marunong mambola, hindi marunong mag-joke. No? And that's a big factor. But that's a big factor because you're dealing with people. How can you coach them if you don't get to grab their attention? Because the first thing that you need to do before you can get their trust is to get their attention.
Mm.
All right? Because being a coach is there's a trust relationship between two people. This client or this athlete is trusting their future into to you, di ba? Na okay, I can make you better. All right. So the biggest barrier to the fitness in this the biggest problem is there's no barrier to entry. So anyone who wants to be a coach can be a coach.
Yeah.
So marami tayong makikita ng mga online coach. Anyone can be an online coach. If you have an internet connection, you can be an online coach. And marami sa kanila sinasabi mga either accurate information but outdated, di ba? Iba purely bro science, right? But a good following because magaling sila mag-present ng sarili.
Yes.
In the actual gym settings, we also have a lot of the highest earning coaches are not necessarily the best coaches. But what I do notice, at least I've been a part of a few commercial gyms, is that the highest earning, the coaches with the most clients are the coaches who have the best rapport. No? Yung magaling makasama.
Uh,
And I think that is a talent in itself. No?
yeah.
Magaling makasama, magaling mambola. And pag nakikita mo yung pinapagawa, ano ba to? Half reps,
Uh,
forced reps, ang daming mga tawag nito, yung mga gimmick, no?
yeah.
Gimmick na fad workouts, no? But they get people in the gym, which is
That's
the most important thing.
uh,
All right. So it's very rare that you get a good combination of those three things, right? So
uh,
that's the biggest problem of the fitness industry in the Philippines is that there's no barrier to entry. Now, the good thing about the fitness industry in the Philippines is that there is no barrier to entry, which means anyone who has the passion, because this is a passion-driven industry,
yeah.
can get into the field and become a coach. I know a lot of good coaches who did not have the sports science or physical education background, but they just really got the passion for exercise, for training, went on to get certifications, ASCA, EXOS, CSCS, attends every seminar.
Yeah.
Well, at least pag nandoon ako, parang,
Iba nga,
ito na naman
pare-pareho,
to,
no?
siya na naman to. And they become good, effective coaches, but they don't have the academic background.
Mm.
So at least there's no barrier to entry wherein you might miss out on these really good and effective coaches who, if they did not get the proper degree, let's say in Brazil, you need to have a degree in physical education to
No.
even be a personal trainer. That if they didn't get the degree, we would have missed out on them.
Yes.
Now, my question to you is it worth it? Is this the lack of regulation worth it? Wherein you will get these coaches who may not have the background on paper, but
Yeah.
are effective and really skilled coaches on the field.
Yeah. So as I mentioned early in my career, I was very idealistic. Meaning if you didn't have the paper to prove that you went through this degree or took this course or even took the certification, X na agad sa akin. Now again, I want to say that I was a young, immature 25-year-old professional na parang okay, I'm on top of the world. I felt like I was on top of the world, and to be in that level, you have to have a certain background. You have to bring something to the table. And that was me before. But as I progressed in this industry, And as I learned, because I came in, parang again, young, I thought it was all about the technical knowledge, all about the, like what you mentioned, all about the degree and the certification. I had to learn the art of coaching. And the art of coaching is something that to me is as important as the technical aspect of coaching. In fact, it's part of my course, yung course na binibigay ko sa mga coaches who want to learn about coaching. But yeah, so that, and also I also met a lot of coaches who didn't have the technical background, but were smart, were actually brilliant. And the way they got their knowledge and information might not have been through a formal way or a formal degree, but they went through the informal route to getting their knowledge. So that informal route was, again, the strength and the weakness of that is that the strength is that it's easily available. Anybody can get it. Like if you want to go online and if you have, a discerning brain, like, common sense, if something makes sense, it makes sense. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't make sense. Now, like the 400 calories in 4 minutes. But again, babalik tayo dun. But yeah, so if you had a discerning mind and you were willing to learn, sige, ano sabihin mo dun?
Well, talking about the 600 calories, ano yun na?
Sorry.
He has all the certifications and degrees. So anyway, sige tuloy.
That's a case against us,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, so totoo. So yeah. Well, maybe we'll get to interview him one day. Let's see. But still, going back to that, ano nga siya eh, parang I met these people, even if they didn't enroll in college, I mean, in a sports science or a physical education course, they were brilliant. They knew what they were talking about and they had the experience, meaning they knew how to tap into people so that the people can get the results that they wanted. And at the end of the day, if you are the most knowledgeable coach in terms of the science and the technical aspect of coaching, if you can't get results from your clients or your athletes, then they will not go back to you. And these people, who I regard highly, they got results and they got clients who came back. Yes, magaling sila magsalita, magaling sila mag-communicate, magpresenta. That's something actually that we don't have in our college or in most degrees in sports science and phys ed. We are not taught how to communicate, I guess, properly, and properly in the sense that can catch attention. And secondly, we're not taught how to market. Coaches from our institutions, I've noticed, hate to market because they feel like it's beyond them, or parang, they're above marketing. I came from UP, I came from UST, you should get me just because of that fact. And I learned na no, in fact, that's not true. That's why, again, that's why I made that course. That's why it's very important to go into. And when I was in college, I took communication classes, I took film classes, I took electives that would help me communicate a lot better, not in multimedia. So not only speaking, but also in, videos, etc., photos. So, and up to now, that's the kind of knowledge that I'm more so inclined to learn, like the art of coaching, the psychology of coaching, apart from the technical aspect of it, which, again, every day there's new stuff coming out, but we know, we know already the basics of it, and we know how to get people stronger, thinner, whatever. So yeah, back to the question, is it even worth it to regulate? That's a double-edged question because even if I have met these people, there are also other coaches and practitioners who do more harm than good. They are out there. It's not something na parang we can just sweep under the rug. There are people who are coaching in a level that they are not supposed to be coaching at. Wrong prescriptions, wrong programming, wrong periodization, wrong progression. So those things, they do exist. So there has to be like a medium, I guess. Like one thing that you mentioned, the three things that you mentioned, the the background, which is like a degree, the
Yeah.
certification, the art of coaching. I would argue na this first, even if we are in that institution, like a formal educational institution, if you're not gonna go into, I guess, the academe, like where we are, and if you just want to be a fitness coach, I would argue na there might be a way that you get your information and knowledge in a non-formal way. Now, most of the courses that you see online, in my opinion, including mine, are not the end all be all. Parang they're not supposed to be, you take this course, automatically you're certified to be a coach. I don't like that, especially if the program is local. Why? Because again, nobody's policing us naman eh. Even us, the people who teach you informally, no, we're not being policed. We don't, like, there's nobody telling us, hey, you're teaching the wrong thing. We're doing it out of our own knowledge, our own experience, but nobody above us is telling us, wait, that's wrong. So you don't really know if it's local. If it's international, like ASCA, NSCA, ACE, that's different. They went through a rigorous process of being vetted, and they are already, they're world class. That's why they're available here and abroad. So again, you go back to common sense, which is most important in my opinion. If you're gonna go through the informal route, then I think there might be a space for you in the fitness industry. I will push back on the strength and conditioning field because there's a lot more, in my opinion, technical knowledge that you need to develop. Na so far, I've only seen in the formal setting. Na given, I know there are a lot of people who mentor under individuals and they get their knowledge that way. That's legit, again, I guess. But you're not, hindi ka parang peer reviewed, or hindi ka parang, no institution is telling you na yes, wisdom is certified, that wisdom has a degree. That means that he took all of the courses that needed to be taken. He has the knowledge and now he can practice. So I will push back on the SNC. But there might be a way that a program can be created in the future, but we're not there yet. So parang yun eh. That's my point on this eh. Parang yes, formal education is best. Certifications are good. Art of coaching and experience are good. But some people just don't have, I guess, I don't know, the time, or I don't even want to say the desire to go through college. Kasi ano eh, again, we are in the institution eh. So when we speak about college and formal education, we're speaking about it from inside. So we know what it's for. We know the value of it. But a lot of people, especially the young ones, parang they're double, nagdadalawang isip about college. So yun, that's my take on it. Anything to add?
So some of the best coaches that I've seen who are also trying to earn the diploma in a way are my students in the BEST program,
Yeah.
Diploma in Exercise and Sport Science, which are graduates of non-sports or physical education courses, but would like to get into the field in a way. So they take this is a 2-year course at the university, and they are usually some of my best students. So marami graduate ng IT,
Yeah.
ng let's say basic education, but they just found their passion for coaching, for training, and yes, and there you would see they're more mas magaling pa sila sa mga undergrad na currently sports science students. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword if there's no barrier to entry. No, but I think yeah, I have to agree that sport strength and conditioning is a different animal. It's a different field in itself that should at least have a higher level of monitoring.
Mm.
Kasi performance na eh. Performance enhancement na yung tinitingnan mo. It's different. It's a different needs of every sport.
Yeah.
No? If you're looking at developing power, which is important in a lot of sports. There are different types of power. There is ballistic, plyometric, dynamic power. How do you train for that? And it's a different animal in itself, just compared to just personal training. No, but the issue that I have is if you don't regulate, then there's no liability,
Mm.
right? So who do you blame if there are accidents or if there are no progress in
Mm.
one person? Then they would say, "Oh, exercise doesn't work for me."
Yeah.
Well, it turns out you just had a really bad coach.
Yeah.
Maybe you just had a really bad coach na magaling makisama. So, palagi kayo nagtitrain, di ba? Palagi kayo nagtitraining, pero hindi ka naman nagpo-progress. Pero magaling siya makasama, di ba? And that can be a problem in itself. So if you don't regulate, at least in some way, you have a problem with liability in terms of accidents, you know, lack of progress or even reversal of progresses
Yeah.
and injuries. Yeah, so that can be a problem. Now, the thing is, the health and fitness industry, it's, aminin na natin, it's not as um, the problem of liability is not as bad as the other health related fields. For example, nutrition.
Okay.
It can be clinical. So if you make mistakes with prescribing nutrition, if you're not an R&D, make mistakes with a clinical case of nutrition, nutrition client, then there could be problems. Physical therapy, if you don't regulate it, there could be problems with recovery or even with aggravating injuries
Yeah.
for people. Diba? You don't get that with health and fitness because if you're just going to provide exercise and personal training services to an individual who just wants to get more physically fit, it's not as, unless you're doing anything really drastic, it's not as dangerous as
Mm.
compared to wrong practices in nutrition or physical therapy. The worst thing that can happen to anyone is slow progress, or no progress. But and if you have a coach who has at least one half of a brain, they would know that progressive overload is the main is the foundation of any program, and then specificity, of course, those two, and then you're fine. The methodologies might differ, but if you just understand the meaning of specificity and progressive overload, you can get progress, especially with beginners, right? But let's say in the field of physical therapy and nutrition, you can't just open it to everyone because there are very serious implications. So I think it's not that important or that big of a deal to regulate the health and fitness industry. Okay, at least in the personal training sense.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at sports, especially elite level sports, then there may be a strong case for regulating it because you're looking at athletes, maybe professional athletes or elite level national athletes who represent the country. The country spends money on them, or if this person is a professional volleyball player, this person is invested in this process. So there has to be some form of accountability, which starts with qualifications. All right. Now, I do agree. A lot of trainers do not have the formal education background, but if we regulate the industry as a whole, I'd rather have some bad coaches with a educational background at least than to have bad coaches who don't have the educational background and don't have the relevant certifications.
Yeah.
Diba? And then, I mean, I'd like to ask you then as someone who has the relevant educational background, who has the certificates, bas yes, yes ka pa ba?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And you're a coach who you've been coaching for many years, diba? Don't you feel like there has to be some form of gatekeeping in the industry? Because any high school kid can just come in and try to replicate your job. Ano sa tingin mo?
Well, yeah, that's fair. Kasi we are professionals, the both of us are. So we are tending to a job, tending to a career. In my case, it's coaching at the same time, a little bit of teaching on the side, but coaching talaga yung main. In terms of gatekeeping, I've gone back and forth with that. But first of all, I do agree, again, na when it comes to sports and strength and conditioning in general, in my opinion nga, it should be similar to a physiotherapy PRC license. Yun, parang doon pa lang. Wala pa tayo dun eh. And if you actually go. I have to divulge na I am part of an organization with my dad, and some of our friends in the college, si Kale Alvarez, si Molly Malyari, and some doctors, and we are trying to build a framework towards not regulation but kind of inclusion is the term. Parang making sure that if you are here in this industry, then you should adhere to certain standards and principles. Similar to do no harm. Pag doktor, parang there has to be, that standard that is shared across the board. In terms of gatekeeping, I have no issues with coaches calling themselves strength and conditioning coaches and being ex-athletes or being sports coaches na parang na-transform na lang sila into SNC. Because these people are, they have the experience. I was an athlete, you were an athlete before, and we know how to train as athletes. And that has helped me, along, of course, with my certification and the background in college. It has helped me in terms of crafting programs, etc. I do have to say, like what you said, after a degree, you retain maybe 20% of what you learned. Maybe. I would maybe say more. A lot of things that I learned happened outside of the institution. So meaning I was able to add on more knowledge after the fact that I went to CHK in my case. But if I didn't have the background or the foundation of CHK, then I wouldn't be looking at the information with a more discerning mind. Meaning I can say this is true, this is false, this is plausible, this might cause me harm, this might cause my athlete to get better. It took that background in CHK for me to, when I saw this new information after college, not to judge and to say, no, okay, this might help, this might not. So again, I go back to, if you notice, guys, listeners, it's hard for us to, actually come to a conclusion here, and I'm sure at the end we won't come to a conclusion because a lot of people in the industry currently don't have that background. And I know this because I employ some of them. Na parang they don't have uh the bachelor's degree to back it up. Kumbaga. So yeah, so that's why it's hard. It's hard to talk about it. But I do agree that it is needed. It is needed. I have to say it that parang if nobody's policing us, go to the US. You cannot train with a team if you don't have an NSCA, CSCS. If you go to the NFL, the National Football League in the US, the first thing that they look at is your CSCS credential. If you don't have that, sorry, hindi ka pwede. Automatically, hindi ka pwede. Maski may degree ka, hindi ka pa rin pwede. So, there has to be, like us, in our current setting, what are the big sports leagues? We have the PBA, we have the MPBL, we have the PVL, we have the PSL, I think that's it. So, and then the national training programs. But those, in my opinion, to be able to get into that, you need to have that. You need to have a degree. You need to have a relevant degree. You need to have either, tama yung sinabi service namin. Meron rin kasi mga diploma degrees, like yung DESS ng CHK. It doesn't have to be an undergrad degree. Meron way for you to get that degree. You have to have that. Then you need to have the relevant certification for sports. I think that is necessary. Then you should have experience. Yun yung, of course, is not black and white. You can make it black and white by years under the industry, but some people learn faster, some people don't learn, as well. So that is something that the company, the team will have to judge by themselves. How this person talks, how this person delivers the program, etc. So yun. So in the sports realm, I do agree. Even in the collegiate, UAP, NCAA, and PCCL, lahat ng mga collegiate leagues, so dumadami, no? Even high school. In my opinion, even high school. If you're handling an athlete who is competitive, you need to have that background. You need to know how the body works. You need to know how the body adapts, how the body recovers, how the body goes through supercompensation, how everything ties together so that you are creating an athlete. Now, if you don't have that yet, it's not too late. It's never too late. If you really want to invest in this industry, Then nga, may mga programs like yung DESS sa UP, CHK. I'm not sure if meron sa ibang mga institutions, but there might be. So again, there is a way if you want to do that, and if you want to really work in sports. Now, if you're into fitness, that's where I will be more lenient. I don't really mind it, honestly. Na parang now, talking to you now, 2024, I don't really mind it anymore because of the knowledge that is readily available everywhere. You just have to make sure, as an institution, if you are one of these big institutions who employ a lot of coaches, the big box gyms, even the smaller gyms, you need to be responsible for the coaches under you. And if something goes wrong because you hired a coach who wasn't credible, then the burden has to go back to you, the business owner. And that's my opinion on this, on fitness. You cannot, you have to have more skin in the game as a business owner. You have to make sure that you're hiring good people. You have to make sure that you're hiring credible people. And in my opinion, meron dapat silang knowledge, a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of expertise. So there. So sports, no, yes, yes, very much yes. Fitness, not as, not, I'm a little bit more lenient when it comes to fitness. But so the question, babalik ko sa'yo, a lot of people tell me experience trumps a background, or the knowledge that you get from college or a formal degree. And I know a lot of people really harps, but I get my knowledge from experience. I get my knowledge from working under coaches, working under teams, and then shadowing, and then really, really building up my hours, training myself, training other people who want to volunteer under me. So gets mo, parang ganun. So what is your opinion on that? Ano yung mas mabigat in terms of a degree and experience?
Well, it really depends on what you start with, because you can't start with experience. Nobody starts with experience, diba? So it's good to have a degree to start with and then build your experience. But I think the most important thing is, as you gather your experience, you have continued learning. Read the recent meta-analysis, watch the podcasts of leading researchers, no? So sina Eric Helms, Brad Schoenfeld, yan.
Yeah.
Because you can have the most vast experience, but if you don't continue learning, then you will be left behind. Which is why we have a lot of veteran coaches who are doing some outdated methodologies, because they didn't know na may ganito ng study na it doesn't necessarily have to be like this or like that. Yung ano nga lang, di ba? Stretching. You need to stretch after training. A lot of coaches still believe in that one, and they could be really good coaches. It's just that they were not continuously updating what they learned and what they practice. So evidence-based practice. Now, in terms of uh, in terms of professionalizing the industry. In terms of professionalizing the industry, I think we're closer than we are 20 years ago, because the CHED, Commission on Higher Education, has institutionalized the BSESS, Bachelor of Science in Exercise and Sports Science curriculum, which is why we now have more schools offering sports science programs, and there are two branches. You can go into training, or you can go into management. So I
Ah,
think, yeah, so meron na siya 2018. It's Memorandum Order 18. So, and we've seen graduates start in 2022 or 2023 because of the pandemic. No? So it has been institutionalized, because before you can professionalize an industry, uh, physical therapist or teachers or nurse, RN, registered nurse, you need to identify the degrees that will be considered for the board exam. Na, okay, pag ito yung nag-graduate mo na degree, then you can take the board exam. For example, yung licensure exam for teachers. You can be a BPE graduate right? Even if you're not an edu graduate, you can take units and then qualify for the board exam to be a licensed professional teacher. So now that we have institutionalized the BSESS program, I think we are closer than ever to professionalizing it.
Yeah.
Because now you can have siguro later on a board exam for ano ba to? Licensed exercise and sports scientist. Ano ba? Ano ba magandang word, right?
Uh,
Because if you say professionalizing, so meron kang PRCID, di
yes.
ba? Who will be allowed to take the exam? That's the first question.
Uh,
Ano yung mga degree na dapat nakuha mo? So maybe, of course, sports science, maybe physical education, maybe what? Physical therapy, all right? Kinesiology. So we're closer than ever to professionalizing, right? Now, in terms of regulating, I think that's much easier. We talked about the NFL example. Brad Schoenfeld has talked to me that has told me that it's also a wild, wild west in the US. No,
okay.
personal training, it's an open market.
Yeah.
Now, the only problem is that in the United States, almost all of the personal trainers and strength and conditioning coaches who are in the top tier positions have the degree and the relevant positions because it's more accessible and they can afford to take those exams and certifications. So even though you can be an NFL coach, even if you're not a CSCS, it's very unlikely because you're
Ah,
up against some really, really good competition in terms of having the background and the relevant certifications, right? Which is why the most strict regulation for the fitness industry is in Brazil. You need to have a degree in physical education. Yun lang. You can't be any other degree, and there's a mandatory registration sa ano nila.
hmm.
Uh, parang ano nila, Registry of Physical Professionals. So CREF yung tawag.
Okay.
All right. And then there's parang CPD units that are required to maintain your registration. So very strict sila.
Yeah.
No, which is really crazy. No, na sa Brazil,
Of all.
it's the most strict na fitness industry in terms of personal trainers. Another example is you have Australia.
Yes.
Um, so Dan Baker, no, the former president of ASCA, talked to me about this. Na back then, their situation was very much like the Philippines. It's an open market. And there were a few instances where they had to really regulate it. And one of those instances was there was a high profile coach giving his athletes tainted supplements,
Oh no.
which
Okay.
ended up a lot of their high level athletes getting popped for doping violations. Diba?
Okay.
So it's either tainted or knowingly binibigyan niya ng
Yeah. Something.
something else. So they now had to decided na okay, everyone has to be certified. So may tinatawag sila na level 3, certificate 3 or certificate 4. So for example, sa ASCI, I think everyone has to be at least level 1 to do basic one-on-one training, and then you're going to go up to L2, L3, L4 yata, depending on the level that you will be coaching at. So highest levels, of course, yung mga strength and conditioning coaches for teams. So, and then meron din silang parang CPD.
Hmm.
So there's continuing education, diba? So parang it does not have to be an ASCA, but there are other certifications that you can take to be
Okay.
credited as certificate 3 or 4. In the Philippines, we can try that. Diba? Sabi niya, so what happened? Sabi niya, the government has to step in.
Hmm.
And so, if the government says so, then we have no choice but to follow. Diba? So that is if there's a buy-in from the population. Now, the problem is, syempre, the government has to step in. Since we have a really, really good government and everybody trusts the integrity and the very, very good intentions of the government, it becomes a problem,
Of course.
right? Because number one, let's say sabihin natin, hindi na kailangan mo ng PRC license. We're quite far from that one.
Ah.
I can tell you, I know for a fact about the problems with the BSESS program, why it's immature. Some institutions are offering it, but they don't even have the infrastructure or the faculty to teach it anyway. But PRC, we're quite a long way from that one. No, but regulating, it's fine. We can set up, di ba, parang national certificate level 1, for example, for everyone has everyone who wants to be a personal trainer has to have a, let's say, certificate level 1 to be able to teach um, general population basic health and fitness training. So the question is, who sets the guidelines,
Yes, that's the next
right?
question.
And why? So, for example, do you require insurance, liability insurance? Maganda, di ba? That's going to cost money. And being a developing nation, that's very difficult. And number two is who is going to be the certifying body? It can't be just one group of people, di ba? Kasi ang laki ng Pilipinas eh. It's more than 100 million people. So let's be natin, we have, give or take, 1 million personal trainers, including the wannabes and the professionals. Yeah. Who will certify them all, right? And then second is, if you can certify them, how much will it cost?
Yeah.
So if it costs money for certification, issue ulit, bakit may bayad? And syempre, sa Pilipinas, when something entails payment, there are some interests that come in.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a problem of implementation. And what happens to all the trainers who are currently practicing? Pag sinabi mo, all right, we will regulate the industry. Suddenly, suddenly, disallowed lahat ng trainers. Everyone should stop being a trainer because now you need to be certified level 1 if you want to be general population personal training. Then say level 2 if you want to be into sports training, team sports, right? School sports, then level 3 for professional and collegiate sports and so on. So not everyone stops becoming a trainer. Or meron kang, let's say, 1 year na transition period. Pwede naman. Ang jeepney modernization nga, ilan na, mga 10 years na. Right? And then there's continuing education. It doesn't stop with certification. So it's really a problem with how do you implement it? And will it be fair to all? Because it is ideal, but will it be fair to all? Will it entail costs? Will it entail time?
Yes.
Energy from these people? Is it even going to be valid or reputable? Right? But it will help the industry in the long run if we regulate it. Because now, there's a higher, kumbaga tataas yung tingin sa trainers. They have to be a certain level of qualification. Diba? To be someone to even train kahit sa basic exercises lang, which means you can now charge more. Diba? And then there's also, of course, liability. There's accountability on the part of the trainer. So I think there has to be some form of regulation, but we're very far from professionalization. Diba? What do you think?
Yeah, I guess when Dan gets here in October, because he's gonna be in the convention. That I would love to pick his brain on how it started in Australia. Parang the growing pains years of regulation. Kasi it will take a lot of, sabihin na natin, political will. I mean, if nobody will actually come out and say, hindi, kailangan to gawin. Then, again, wild west lang sa Pilipinas. Parang, kanya-kanya tayo ng regulation, kanya-kanya tayo ng accreditation. But it's, parang, we go back to why. And you said one thing that is interesting, yung CPD. CEU, continuing education. Basically, continuing education. And if no one is telling you that you have to learn something new or to actually have, continuing education as you are practicing your craft, then nawawalan tayo ng, again, professionalization, nawawalan tayo ng credibility, nawawalan rin tayo ng quality. Sa totoo lang. Kasi nobody is enforcing it na parang, hindi, kailangan niya matuto. And this is something that we did as an institution in 360, we encouraged and we also sponsored. So the companies like kami, not whole, magalit yung mga daming coaches, pero we did give parang we did sponsor a percentage of their continuing education. And I think that's one of the reasons why people back then chose us as a to be employed in 360. Na we really pushed continuing education. Now, I cannot speak for all institutions, although I do know that some big institutions are looking for a way to make training not only more accessible, but also something that is parang required. Parang coaches, if you are, let's say, an XY box gym, you have to take these amount of classes or courses, or as the XY box gym will develop their own curriculum so that the people can continually be informed and updated. But again, we go back to who's regulating that system, who's regulating that information that the XY box gym is giving and making sure that it is credible, correct, and will do no harm. That points us to the question of who the regulating body should be. And since that question has never been answered yet, that's why wala pa nag-regulate because nobody
Mm.
either wants to take the initiative or nobody is getting enough support because you need support. You need support from the big
Mm-hmm.
box gyms. You need support from the coaches because with every time you have change, it's going to be painful, and there will be people who will be compromised or who will have a difficult time in the change. But I go back, parang it's something that will make the industry better in the long run. You develop coaches or you have coaches who are professional who can give you safe and effective programs. And that also goes kasi ito rin wisdom parang I'm in the space. The rates that personal training PTs give for a session iba-iba rin eh. Hindi rin
Yeah,
standard
yeah.
yung
Sige, so sorry to cut you off.
yeah,
The
go.
rates are, I saw the rates and it's parang parang insulto yung iba. Parang why
Yeah.
are you allowing yourself to put in your time and effort just
Yeah.
for that much?
But
I
but
mean,
the
I can
problem
charge 10 times more
exactly.
for it to be even worth my time. That's parang,
That's what I do. but but
well,
the problem is the paying public,
yeah.
they don't really
Mm-hmm.
parang
Yep,
uh
yep, yep.
they
Tama.
will go to what is cheap, what is accessible, ano malapit sa kanila. So
Mm-hmm.
so if there is nobody stopping these coaches for charging, let's say 300 to 500 pesos per session, then it will set a status quo na lower. And
Mm-hmm.
we want the status quo to be higher. We want,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure, wala akong makikilalang coach na hindi sasabihin na I want to charge more. I'm sure every coach out there will feel like they can charge more or they should charge more, but natatakot sila kasi walang bibili. And
Yep. And you keeping undercut by other people would, oh, I'll just offer this much.
Kasi na, gito lang, 800 lang to. Yung isang course, 1,000. Wala ka nang pakialam sa
Uh,
credentials. Mas mura to. Dito ako sa mas mura. It's a price thing. So, we cannot speak for the paying public
mm-hmm.
because we're not part of it kasi we don't pay for sessions, I guess. Pero when I ask my friends what is something that is reasonable for them, mga non-coaching friends, they say anywhere from 800 to 1,500, mga ganun. And I feel like, I don't know, parang if you're starting out in the industry, that's a pretty good place to start if you charge 1,000 per session. Of course, pag mas tumagal ka na, you can increase it some more. But I feel like that is a good place to start. But again, we don't really know because we can't regulate the prices because there's no
Yeah.
regulation. Pero,
And you also exclude a lot of the potential clients
yes.
because, 'di ba, if you charge 800 pesos, then there's nobody earning na kahit nga twice the minimum wage. Nobody earning twice the minimum wage would take that kasi ilan na lang matitira sa kanya for that day.
Yeah, true.
So the market itself is not a very high earning market.
Yeah. That's
And pwede kang i-undercut ng high school kid who just set up a vlog and suddenly trainer na siya.
True. Yeah. So again, because there's no regulation, anybody can go into it and can skew the pricing and
Mhm.
to benefit them. But you again say a good fact na it's because the market or the paying Filipino people, they hindi tayo sanay as a population to pay for expensive coaches
Mhm.
when it comes to personal training. You just go to your big box gyms and you look at
Yeah.
the rates and you know pretty much for a fact, okay, so this is how much a trainer costs. You go to all of these big
Mhm.
gyms. So parang you can kind of come, that's why I came up with that 800 to 1.5 because parang it
Mhm.
falls into that. And then maganda naman sa mga institutions ito, they promote continuing education by if you have continuing education, you can increase your rate. But
Mhm.
then, if you increase your rate, baka, I've met coaches na sabi nila, ayoko mag-increase ng rate kasi mawawalan ako ng kliyente.
Yep.
My clients
Mhm.
are used to this and that. So, um, it's unfair for me to speak for that because I've been in my rate for the past decade. I haven't changed. So, mahal ako dati, ngayon, sakto na lang. Mahal ako,
Ngayon
10
nagmamahal
years
na lang.
ago, mahal ako, ngayon, sakto lang. Hindi na masyado kasi
Ngayon nagmamahal.
nagmamahal na lang. Nag-catch up na lang eh. So,
But yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But when you talk about gyms or institutions developing the skills of their coaches, now that's the next best thing that you can do, diba? Kasi since there's no regulation, the regulation and then the continuing professional development happens internally,
Yes.
which is why, for example, sa Gold's Gym, they have coach certifications for their coaches. One of the best coach development programs that I've seen is for Kinetics Lab. No?
Yes.
So they also have one kay Coach Marlon. So, but that also entails some costs, diba?
Us.
Because you spend for training your coaches. You spend for allowing them to take classes. Some of them go to school to take on master's degrees. No? So you sacrifice time and resources to continually develop your coaches, wherein simply because there's a lack of regulation and instructions from a regulating body, diba? To mandatorily,
Mhm.
dapat may ganito kang CPD units, dapat may ganito kang certifications. Um, so yeah, but that's voluntary. Diba?
Yes.
Nagiging voluntary na lang siya. And well, I would have to say that the advantage of looking at the uh, coaching under certain gyms or fitness centers, at least you get some form of liability, di
Mm.
ba? Pag nandun ka. Kasi pag, example, one-on-one personal coaching, tapos magkikita lang kayo sa gym or titrain ka sa bahay. Wala kang habol if something bad happens, di ba? So, yeah, it's at least safer na, no? Mas may accountability when
True.
you get into the gyms. But I think at least in the health and fitness personal training, some form of regulation has to be there. We have to have, for example, parang sa Australia na you have to have a certification level 1.
Mm.
Kunyari, yan. And then what are those? So, example, sabihin natin, pag ikaw ay NSA CPT,
Mm.
ikaw ay ACE, ASCA level 1, okay, consider it as level 1. And then if you handle, pagdating mo na, let's have the cutoff at when you're handling collegiate athletes to professional athlete levels and up, doon na papasok mo yung, okay, ganitong level dapat na certification. Di ba? Kasi it's also a safeguard against anybody just coming in and trying to pretend like, di ba? Oh, alam ko yung gagawin. Di ba?
Ah,
And then papakita lang ng mga gimmick or mga fad workout. So, oy, okay to, advanced. Di ba? Magko-combine lang ng mga exercises. Uy, ayos to. Secret exercise to. Di ba? Um, Gagawin lang na circuit yung exercise at certain sports movements. Uy, ayos tong mga drills niya. Parang ano talaga to, advanced. Di ba? So
ah,
it gets quite difficult. But I think we should have some form of regulation in the personal trading space. There
Mm.
has to be an appropriate um, certification level to be, let's say, certified level 1, and then an appropriate level for, let's say, handling collegiate and higher collegiate and professional teams and athletes and so on. Um, Special certifications for special groups,
Yes.
example, elderly, PWD, special certification for being able to handle mga at-risk populations. Yan. And then professionalization, I think we should be there at some point soon,
Mm.
which would be, I have to say, dapat eventually maano na yan, ma-institutionalize niya PRC licensing for exercise and sports scientists. Kasi meron ng BSESS.
Yes.
So you now have a pool of graduates who are technically qualified to take the qualification or licensing exam.
Mm.
But what does that license mean? We don't know. Maybe that means it's the only way that you can coach in a school setting, di ba? As the same way as only professional teachers can teach in, let's say, high school or elementary level. Di ba? Kasi hindi naman ibig sabihin graduate ka ng edu, teacher ka na. You still have to graduate or sorry, to pass the licensing exam. So I think the PRC licensing of the exercise and sports science field should be there soon, and then indicate kung sino lang yung, kung saan sila pwede. Let's say, school-based, school sports, sila lang yung pwede maging strength and conditioning coach. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So,
I think
marami ka nang ma-exclude kaagad. But it's accessible. Diba? And then, marami namang state universities that offer it. So, kahit sabihin mong, hindi, may cost. Hindi, may mga libre na rin naman. That's what I think. But, maraming mawawalan ng qualification suddenly.
that's gonna be the
It's easy to say as someone who is qualified in a way. No?
that's gonna be the trick.
Mhm.
Ano yung mga ayaw. Di ba?
Yep. Oo.
Mga ayaw first and foremost, and then yung pangalawa yung hindi kaya. Pero sabi mo nga, meron naman ng mga state universities who can offer it for free, or can get a scholarship. Yun. So, again, magandang program yung sa ano eh. What do you call it? BSM, ano?
ESS.
ESS.
Exercise and Sports Science.
Yeah.
So, all colleges and universities that would like to offer can now offer exercise and sports science program under the specific guidelines of the CHED na dapat ito yung mga core subjects
Oo.
sa curriculum, dapat ito yung mga majors. I think fitness and sports marketing and training yung isa, which is good kasi it's a different, as someone who has tried both, di ba?
Oo.
Marketing and training, it's a different ball game. Some are good with marketing, are good with coaching, a few are good with both. So now, lahat ng school na gustong mag-offer ng exercise and sports related courses, meron ng example na na curriculum. So pwede na rin silang i-regulate ng PRC.
Yeah, that's the first step eh. If you can offer that.
Mhm.
And currently, as you said, some institutions and universities are
Mm.
offering it already. And
Yeah.
basically anybody, even if a private university wants to take,
Yep.
pwede rin.
Yep. Pwede sila mag-offer. So I
But of
know of
course,
a lot na that are offering it.
iba pang question yung faculty and the institution.
Mhm.
I mean, building the program and making sure there are enough teachers. Syempre.
That's a problem. That's a problem, 'di ba? Because suddenly there are a lot of universities offering exercise and sports science, but you don't have that
Yeah.
many teachers. Ilan lang ba yung graduate ng sports science? Mostly UP, UST.
Uh,
Hindi naman lahat pwedeng magturo doon. So what's happening is you have a lot of PE majors na education na nagiging teacher. And also there's the curriculum naman. I think it has to be it's the pain point pa rin for now na kulang yung faculty. But that's the same thing, that's the same problem that CHK had in the 1980s. So wala talagang faculty. So what will naturally happen is as you get more graduates, eventually a few of them will stay on or come back to teach.
Yes.
Then eventually, lahat ng faculty nyo, graduate na din talaga ng exercise and sports science. So, it's still at the start right now, which is mahirap talaga. Mahirap talaga mag-ano muna, mag-build ng strong na faculty. But that will naturally happen as you produce more graduates.
Tama.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, there's already that in place. And I guess that will be the precursor towards professionalization or parang regulation in the future. Okay. So marami kami nasabi ni Wisdom tungkol dito. Siguro we can summarize now.
Yeah.
Let's go with the pros. So what are some pros for regulation? Off the top, I'll mention one, then you mention another. Ganyan na lang, para alternate tayo.
Okay, sige.
The first pro I can see is, of course, continuing education. If you can regulate and require anybody who is not even necessarily employed in these gyms who already have that in place, that practice in place, if all gyms and all fitness professionals are required to learn continuing education and have required units in a year, I think that will build the credibility and the quality of the coaching profession in the Philippines. How about you?
Yeah, connected to credibility, I think yung dignity, mas mataas yung tingin na, uy, personal trainer ako. We are a professional. We are regulated. Hindi lang kahit sino pwedeng maging trainer. So, that will build kumbaga ano ba, taas ng tingin, self-esteem of the coaches. And they won't shortchange themselves. Na. Sige, sa'yo.
Sige, ako safety. So the safety of the public. If you have more credible coaches, then you have less cases of the public doing something wrong that might hurt themselves, or even worse, in my opinion, going through a year-long program na walang results. So I guess the safety, when it comes to the end of the day, we are a service industry and we serve the population. So if we are not serving a good product, because we are not regulated, then that goes back to us. So there's safety. Ikaw.
Yeah. More income. I think if an industry is professionalized, regulated, then it can command a higher price simply because there's better quality control. So hindi na papasok yung mga coaches na minsan as low as 300 per session, or minsan nga first session libre just to get you in. So possible higher income because there's now perceived quality control. Yeah, for me.
Yeah. Okay. Did we miss anything else? Can you think of something else na pro before we go to the cons?
For me, last one is really better. You can at least expect better results from athletes, from general population. If you have theoretically better trained coaches, then you can expect at least better results. And not just some high school kid can come in and say, I'm a trainer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right. Sige, so let's go to the cons. So you can go first. What's the con that you can think of?
It will shake up the current lineup or set of coaches and trainers that we have, because suddenly it will put into question, are they really qualified? So suddenly magpapa-qualify ulit sila, magpapa-certify. And it's gonna be a hard pill to swallow because some of these coaches might lose their livelihood. Kasi may mga kilala naman akong coaches din, especially with the small gyms sa provinces na walang educational background, walang certification. So, very limited din yung kanilang capacity to pay. And so, if they get left behind, what happens to them? Will they be a necessary collateral damage? It's a very inhumane way of thinking about it, but that's a really big problem.
Yeah, and we didn't even mention that now we are an archipelago, and there are gyms in far-flung places that are small, or so yeah. If this is something that's nationwide, then it will affect them. My con is of course the cost that this will be when it comes to our coaches. because we cannot do this. Not sige, let's say the coaches and maybe the country. If the country or the government for some reason really backs this and say, okay, libre lahat ng mga current. Gets so parang meron tayong program na parang will help everybody currently employed. Then that's great. But that's very idealistic in my opinion. So it will entail some cost, not only at the start, but also once you require continuing education. If you are a freelance instructor, for example, you have to pay for your own courses. If you are, if your gym doesn't support that or doesn't sponsor, then you have to pay for these courses or these continuing education courses. If you want to level up, it might entail a cost from, let's say, level one fitness coach to a level two na SNC high school coach or whatever the future holds. It might entail a cost. So anything with a cost, as we mentioned earlier in the episode, is going to be met with a lot of pushback. So that's my first con. How about you?
Siguro for me, the last con is that the time and effort that you would have to spend if you want to be a coach or a trainer, because you now have to spend more time getting the appropriate qualifications to be a coach or trainer. No? So, syempre, while doing this, you're not earning, which can be a problem, no, for some people. But I think at the end of the day, it's still for the best. You know? But
Yeah.
if you have to spend an extra 1 to 2 years getting the necessary qualification, that's 1 to 2 years of you not being in the industry.
Mm,
Yun.
yeah. My last one would be if this will happen, we will be excluding. It's gonna be it's going to be impossible not to have some people excluded. Some people will just say, I don't want this, or some people will just say, no, this is not for me. And at the end of the day, as an industry, our job or our mandate should be to make our population healthier. So if that means we will sacrifice, quote unquote, a few soldiers, then that might be a con in this fight. But again, I go back to what you said. It is necessary, and in my opinion it is far overdue na gawin to. And I'm happy. I didn't even know na meron na yung program na ESS. So I guess that's a good start when it comes to building that framework for regulation in the country. All right.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah.
eh,
Also, we also have the sports track as a senior high.
oo nga,
Diba? So yeah, that's a good thing to think about. No?
we have I actually taught under Coach Eski, Sir Sebastian
Mhm.
Wilpol, back before the pandemic when he was
Diba? So if you're a sports track senior high and then ESS graduate,
laking
that's
bagay.
a good foundation. Even before you get your first certificate.
Correct.
Tapos ma-license ka pa. It's a very, very professionalized industry. Diba?
So
Yeah.
let's end with this. Do you think, and I'll give my answer. Do you think that this is something that we can see in the next 10 years?
I hope so. I think regulation, not yet, but recommendations, guidelines, and recommendations. We start with that one, and then I think the professionalization and the regulation will come together.
All right.
Recommendations muna, and then before we institutionalize it, or we strictly implement these guidelines.
True. So we have to start with that foundation.
Mhm.
I agree. I hope so. And again, I divulge that I am part of an organization that is trying to push this towards the public eye. But it mirrors what we mentioned. There are a lot of mga humps along the way na
Mhm.
it's hard to do it. But I'm happy na meron ng ESS that takes care of a lot of things actually.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's it for our second episode of the Fitness Faculty Podcast. If you guys have any
Yep.
questions, you can email us at thefitnessfacultypod@gmail.com. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Fitness Faculty PH. Follow us on Instagram and on Facebook. We'll be more active on Facebook as well. Sir Wisdom, where can they follow you personally?
As the great Brad Schoenfeld would say, just Google me.
lalabas yung protein ba, Wisdom?
Lalabas yung research gate.
Tama. Maraming publications with Wisdom.
Yeah. Coaches and trainers, tell me what you think. Is it a threat or is it something to look forward to? No, yung regulation, professionalization. Let's see how it goes.
Agree. We would love to hear what you think about this episode. Again, you can email us or you can comment in this in this YouTube video. We'll think about having a guest in one of the next episodes. But until then, this has been Chappy, Calianta, and of course,
Yes, this is Wisdom Value, sir.
hey, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
See you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you.